Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us tonight for our webinar about our preschool. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Alicha Thomas and I am the head of Newcastle Grammar School. I realise tonight I'm speaking to a range of parents and I'm sure you're all keen to hear a little bit more. I've got new parents whose first experience of NGS is with our preschool in 2021. We also know that we've got parents online tonight who have already had children in our preschool this year, and some parents who are considering NGS for their child. We've set up tonight a webinar where you have got a Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. I ask that you just wait till we finish the presentations. We're going to give you a few moments then, and we'll answer any questions that come up on our screen. So please feel free to use that. I realise the closure of a preschool service like ours is emotional for families, and I fully respect and understand this reaction. Over the last 18 months, the Newcastle Grammar School Board and myself have grappled with the many competing issues at Park Campus. And when we decided to go down the path of redeveloping Park Campus, we did not make any decision lightly. I too have had to experience an emotional roller coaster over the last few weeks as we've announced this to our community. We've got a long history with a preschool on our site, over 20 years. We've got a long-term relationship with our staff who we just adore. And so I want to explain tonight exactly what we think and why we think this move will work really well for our families. At the end of the day, we had to consider the broader issues and what was in the best interests of the wider community and the school in the long term. This was the decision to redevelop. We cannot continue to patch buildings we know are at the end of their life and no longer serve what children need in a modern educational environment. Our preschool is important to our school, and as I hope you'll see tonight, we strongly believe in giving children the best possible start to their education. In bringing together this evening's presentation, we sat down and discussed who we thought you'd want to hear from. And so I'm joined by Mrs. Dyer, Head of Primary, Mrs. Melinda Tucker, our Head of Learning Support for K-6, who also has a key interest and an ability to shape early literacy. And on my left, Mrs. Tonya Franks, who's one of the co-owners of East End Early Education and Preschool in Bolton Street. When we looked to see what we would do, we approached a number of businesses, and it was East End and Tonya's service that was by far the best fit for Newcastle Grammar School. Firstly, her service respected what we wanted to achieve. We wanted to be able to bring our philosophy to our new preschool environment. And so you would receive as families exactly what you expect of us: a safe, caring environment that prepares children educationally and socially for school. Secondly, as a new service, East End has held spots for as many of our children who wanted to come together to their service. We felt that if we could move our families as a group and our children as a group, we would need at least 30 places. And that's exactly what East End have done. They've said to us, we will hold 30 places plus any student on your wait list or who is going to come to preschool. In 2021, because you're repeating another year there, we'd have a place for you. And we needed to find a service that would be able to do that. No other service in Newcastle could do that. And that's partly because they're brand new, and you're going to hear a little bit more about that in a few moments. The other thing that I want to be really clear about is that East End are willing to employ our staff. I know that this is one of the biggest concerns that some of you have, and I've certainly been asked, why didn't you just make the staff part of the deal? I want to answer this straight up. Our staff have been with us for a very long time, and this is something they deserve to have a say in. We're continuing to work with each member of staff, and we hope they do choose to work at East End. We will do, and we are doing, the right thing by all of our staff. Finally, East End was chosen because it was possible to run a preschool service with the flexibility for a few families who need long daycare. East End has separate preschool rooms for the 3 to 5-year-olds, and we know students in the year before school need structure and preschool, not just daycare. We will run our preschool program between 8:30 and 3:30 in the afternoon. Newcastle Grammar School will design the program, monitor the program and evaluate the program, making any changes that we need. The proximity to our Hill campus means we can continue to bring in specialist staff, as we do now, into our preschool to support the learning program. Your children will have a proper preschool experience. I've also been asked by some families, why wait until September to announce this? Well, we've had one of those unusual years, haven't we all? And it's still not easy. We know that part of moving a preschool like this is for you to be able to have an experience of a preschool. And we wanted you to be able to see it firsthand. COVID, of course, has delivered us some challenges in that. And we also knew, though, that Tonya and her service were going to help us out and keep those places. And we would have somewhere for everyone to go. We've got some solutions to that in terms of orientation, and we'll talk to you about that during this presentation. We still have many, many COVID restrictions in places on schools and preschools, and they're much tighter than in the rest of the community. But we think we've actually got some key solutions for that. So we chose East End after long and careful thinking. And I'm going to ask Mrs. Dyer to talk a little bit about what we think some of these advantages are and how we can help your child transition there. Thanks, Mrs. Dyer.
Okay, thank you. Well, welcome everyone. Our Newcastle Grammar School preschool program at East End will continue to build on the strong development of belonging, being and becoming for each child. Our program continues to be rich in values to assist our learners in their daily life and global view. Our preschool children will continue to be taught to demonstrate respect for diversity and differences in beliefs and values. Our program will remain to grow a love of learning through a nurturing environment that allows our learners to imagine, explore, discover and create. Through play-based and inquiry learning, our children are active contributors to shaping and directing their learning experiences. We encourage our preschool learners to develop the necessary inquiry learning skills prior to kindergarten. As part of their school readiness, they need to be able to communicate, ask questions, problem solve, take risks, be collaborative and develop a sense of independence. Our program will be delivered in a supportive learning environment, which will continue to include specialist lessons in music, languages, art, STEM and gross motor programs, where the routines and curriculum provide a balance between structure and flexibility, facilitating a smooth transition to the kindergarten environment. With East End being in such close proximity to Newcastle Grammar School, it will allow our staff to deliver these specialist learning opportunities. Our families, educators and community will continue to work together to support every learner's growth and learning. We are inclusive of all, understanding that the family is the first teacher. Our community is important and we will take all opportunities to become involved in community events. Our Visible Wellbeing program will continue to celebrate every child's uniqueness and different character strengths. We aim to nurture this through developing meaningful relationships, an understanding of strength-based development and the absolute belief that every child can succeed. I understand that some children and their families may be feeling anxious about attending a new preschool environment, which is very understandable. However, please be assured that our experienced staff will guarantee that every child and their family are supported in the orientation and transition process. Every family will have an individualised transition program next term arranged by myself. Our program will strive to provide the highest quality transition to kindergarten, where we work in partnership to build strong connections for all children who attend our preschool program. We will provide opportunities to be involved in unique experiences across the Newcastle Grammar School environment that seeks to develop an identity within and a shared participation in the whole school. For example, we want our preschool students to attend primary school events like our Athletics Carnival, and it may even mean that some of our Year 5 and Year 6 students build meaningful learning opportunities with our preschool children at East End. Tonight, Mrs. Melinda Tucker joins us. Mel is Head of Primary Learning Support and our Early Literacy Specialist. Her role in teaching and tracking the early literacy of our kindergarten students is paramount for every learner. She has the art of setting every child up for success. She's mastered it, in fact. Tonight, I've asked her to outline what the School Readiness Literacy Program will look like in our preschool program in 2021. Thanks, Mel.
Thanks, Alicha. It's very kind words. From next year, I'll be overseeing and introducing 2 new evidence-based school readiness programs that I'm really passionate about. These 2 programs are called Pre-Lit and Talk for Writing. Pre-Lit is the first module in the Multi-Lit suite. It was developed by the leading experts at Macquarie University for children who will be attending formal schooling the following year. This program continues with initially in kindergarten and 2 other intervention programs for students requiring further support from Year 1. Pre-Lit is a skills-based program, early literacy preparation program for preschool children to complement play-based learning environment. It will be run by our teaching staff who will teach pre-literacy skills and concepts in a fun and engaging way. Pre-Lit is appropriate for all children regardless of skill level, and it will form part of our daily high-quality program. There are 108 short explicit lessons that incorporate a range of phonological awareness skills, which include oral blending, segmenting, and other phonological awareness activities such as rhyming. Another benefit of Pre-Lit is oral language development through structured book reading. Fostering a love of reading and harnessing curiosity in our young children is the key to extending vocabulary, which will develop comprehension and increase confidence. This evidence-based literacy program allows for close monitoring of an individual child's progress and will inform us of your child's strengths or potential challenges. We know that strong phonological awareness is crucial for reading success in kindergarten, and I'm really excited that we've been able to implement this program next year. The second program is Talk for Writing. We've already started to roll this program out in some year groups, and I have to tell you, it is the most exciting part of my teaching day. Talk for Writing is an engaging teaching framework developed by Pi Corbett. It's powerful because it's based around how children learn. Children learn language through memorable, meaningful repetition. The Talk for Writing approach enables children to internalise the language structures so that they can imitate and create their own effective oral stories. Talk for Writing in the early years does not require children to write. What it does do is it shows children how to rhyme, tell stories, and develop language skills and an absolute love for language. The outcome of implementing these 2 programs and being part of the Newcastle Grammar preschool program will ensure that they have the best possible transition into formal learning the following year.
Thanks, Mel. I think one of those key things that you've just said is that East End is going to allow us to do these programs, and we know that these programs are absolutely cutting edge and that they're going to make a significant difference to our children. So I'm going to turn now to Tonya Franks. And I asked, and I thought it might be easy to ask Tonya a few questions, and she can answer a little bit about her service. And I thought, obviously, the first one, from your point of view, why did the school choose East End?
Well, we were approached by the school to consider a partnership to provide a preschool service. Our values and care align with that of the school. We are also in very close proximity to the main campus and only a short drive from Park campus, less than 6 minutes.
I know, and that was something that we actually went out and timed because we wanted to make sure, and we realised that this could be inconvenient for parents to go from one place to another. But we also know at your service there's a very easy drop-off point. And that might be very appealing to some parents who are used to our Park campus shuffle at times. And do you want to just explain how parents would come into your service and drop their child off?
So we actually are connected to Hunter car parking and storage. So we have our own designated car parking area, which is on level 1. So you drive straight under the boom gate, and you will see our signage and you can park there. We also have a 2-hour drop-off early in the morning and late in the afternoon as well, where you can actually just come straight in the gate. We do offer free car parking where if you would like to stay a little bit longer or you have something going on at the school, where you could actually receive your own car spot.
Yeah, and I think that's something I know that a number of parents have been ringing and asking you all around that, and they can see some huge advantage, as would many of us who have to try to park at Hill campus each day. This will be absolutely seamless in comparison to what has been happening at Park, and that was a huge advantage. Now, I mentioned that your service was new, and this is one of the reasons why we decided in the end that we wanted to work with you, because you could take all of our families in there. How long have you actually been open now?
So we opened in June last year. However, our numbers had started to increase, and then COVID did hit early this year. So pretty much since June 2019.
Yeah. And I know, and I said it up front, that many of our parents are concerned that our preschool staff they love, and they love working with them. And I've said that part of the reason we did this was that our staff had an opportunity to come and work at East End. Can you just elaborate a little bit on that?
So yes, I was very lucky to meet the staff on Tuesday evening. So we're currently investigating the opportunity to employ the preschool staff from Newcastle Grammar School, and obviously there's certain employment criteria that we will have to meet, but we're very much looking forward to having those conversations early next week.
Yeah. And you've assured me that you've got space for them, so I think we're going to find a really great solution for our staff if they want to be part of this. How many children can you take?
So we are actually able to take all the children from Newcastle Grammar School. We had capped our enrolments to make sure that we could cater for all families. So that includes the current families who enrolled, also children off the wait list, and anybody else who's contacting us via email.
Perfect. I think that million-dollar question is always, why should I send my child to your centre?
That's right.
So I know that you've got a number of key things. You've got a yarning circle.
We
What's
actually
a yarning
do.
circle?
We actually have a yarning circle where in the morning we gather together and we acknowledge the traditional landowners, and it's a beautiful area. Moving forward, we will have Indigenous artworks that will be created in that particular area also. We have a nationally recognised education curriculum program in place at our service, and our service facilities are state-of-the-art. We're extremely proud of what we've been able to achieve there at East End, and we also have a boating area sort of in our indoor-outdoor area. We have a climbing wall, and
climbing walls are so important, aren't they? Mel,
Gross motor.
yeah. Can you explain to everyone why climbing walls are so important?
Well, it's great for gross motor, and it also develops fine motor as well, because they have to grip onto the to the, what do they call it, little nodules. But all of that is really important for fine motor skills, even though it's a gross motor skill.
And what about sustainability, Tonya?
So yes, we do have a sustainable garden. It's a work in progress at the moment, but it is open, and that's actually available to the children. So in order to tick all of the sustainability boxes that we need to, we have our compost gardens. We're actually obviously growing our own herbs and vegetables, so that then Rose, our in-house chef, will be able to actually cook for all the children.
And that is actually a really key part of that service. And that was another thing that we knew, that one of the things we were trying to do too with this move was to make sure that there was some conveniences. And we mentioned the car parking. The other convenience, of course, is that you've got a chef in the centre who makes meals for the children.
Yes, we do. And Rose, she's amazing, yes, and she manages to get even the fussiest of eaters to at least try her food. So we provide breakfast, morning tea, lunch, afternoon tea, and a late snack. And Rose we also have meals that if parents are in a hurry and don't have time to cook that evening, that we can access from our upstairs storage freezer, and you can have a take-home meal.
Wow, I might pop in. In addition to that, I know that getting ready for school also means learning how to use a lunchbox and things like that. How do you manage that in a preschool environment?
So what we do is throughout the year, and certainly from July onwards, we have lunchbox days where the child will bring their own lunchbox to the service, and obviously Rose will place the food in there that the parents are paying for, will go into the lunchbox. And then the children still are developing all of the skills necessary to start kindergarten. And we also will do canteen days where the children will order their lunch, and that will come out to them obviously on a trolley as such, and where they still have that learning experience of being able to access canteen facilities.
Yeah, I think that's probably a key one for children as they get ready for school. I think too, people are a little bit confused about, do I have to do long daycare? I really want my child just to do preschool, and I've seen the facility. It's absolutely stunning. And I know that you're going to operate a preschool separately in many ways to the long daycare. And that's what interested us, because then we can come in with the program and the staff and manage that side of things pretty well. How does that work?
Okay, so what we can look at moving forward is you can look at session times. So where we might have an 8 till 4 or an 8:30 till 4:30. And if parents would like to access only those hours, they are able to do so. And then that goes into the childcare subsidy structure, and we look at fees and costings that relate to those session times. Because we are long daycare, we also do have that preschool program, which is really structured, but for funding reasons, so that we can allow parents financial assistance. That's why we come under the long daycare branch. Which I think there's sometimes a little bit of stigma surrounding long daycare, thinking that the preschool program doesn't operate during in a long daycare environment. However, it does. It's more so to do with funding and being able to offer a lot more financial support to parents.
And I've got to say, that was another reason that we needed to look at this. I've got parents at the moment that really need that childcare subsidy and access to that. And of course, our preschool doesn't qualify because of the hours we operate. So knowing that preschool children or preschool age children have a separate facility, they'll have a completely different program, and they're not out with the younger children at all, are they? That are there for long daycare.
No, they're completely separate. So our nursery area is completely separate to obviously our preschool area. However, if they did have a sibling, there are times throughout the day where they can wave through the fence or say hi to a younger sibling, if that's the case. And also in our toddler area, the 2 to 3 area, they actually operate on different daily routines. So our 3 to 6 year old children are definitely in their own area.
Yeah, and I think that might help explain how you can run a preschool program quite separately to long daycare. But parents have that access if they need it, and increasingly our parents are needing our before and after school care from preschool, yeah. And that's provide for further challenges at Park Campus. So I think in many ways this could work really well. Families have the option just for preschool, or they'll have the option too. Sometimes they might need that long daycare when they're running a bit late or something along those lines, which can definitely help. I think that fee thing is something that people are, you know, sort of thinking, wait a minute, how does this all work? Can you explain that a bit? Because I don't think families individually have to go out, do they?
No,
and find this all out themselves.
No, that's correct. So what happens is you actually, you have a MyGov account, and the childcare subsidy is all linked up through a MyGov account. So it's all based on income, it's based on family circumstances. Some people will think that they're not entitled to any childcare subsidy. However, they will be pleasantly surprised that they will be. So it's all based on Centrelink and MyGov, and you will fill out forms and then they will let you know what your entitlements are.
And do you have those forms at East End?
We do, and we have them online and easily accessible to parents.
Great. I know one other big question is always about East End is around the sunlight. And yes, I've been surprised when I've been there just what it does deliver. But can you explain to everyone how that sort of works?
Okay, so there is sunlight at East End. So we actually have a boating area where quite a large amount of sunlight comes through that area, and so does also in our yarning circle and down the front of the service as well. So there is sunlight there for children to enjoy. We are hoping that moving forward we will be able to attend, whether it's athletics carnivals or go for little excursions locally because of where we are situated. We will have that opportunity. So yes, there's definitely sunlight available for the children.
Yeah, and I was there late the other afternoon and was quite surprised how much light's coming through. Don't worry everyone out there, boating area doesn't mean water and ponds. It actually means a boat and some rocks that the kids again can play on to get the skills working really well, and their motor skills working really well. And I know that you've got little bikes and all sorts of things and a track too. That
we do. We have a bike track, which the children love.
Yeah, so. And one of the advantages actually, and we're talking about sunlight, one of the advantages is that they will have outdoor play every day, even if it's raining. And that's one thing, of course, we all know that we struggle with in our current environment.
Yes, no, that has definitely been a positive.
Can you, Mrs. Mel or Alicha, can you think of any other questions that you've had raised to you before we ask parents?
I think you've covered everything that I've thought about, yes.
Thank you. Well, parents, this is going to bring us to an end. In a minute, we're going to ask you if you've got questions, because that's an important part of tonight. But I know that this is a new environment, but it's a really good one. And we're committed to making this work. I've got the most wonderful team around me. And we want to provide the best education for your child. We're gaining many things from this move. We're gaining a modern, well-resourced facility. We're gaining an ability to run exactly the program we want to in this facility. We're gaining opportunities for our staff who we love. We're gaining flexibility for families around the childcare subsidy, around hours of operation, but we're actually being able to provide a unique preschool experience. We fully expect that this won't be for everybody, and we have changed what you were thinking about for 2021. But we're replicating and enhancing our current program, just in a different location. We've found in East End a centre aligned with our philosophy and ethos, and we certainly hope you'll join us on a tour And we're going to make available to you from the start of term 4 some tours so that you can see East End up close. This isn't easy in a COVID environment, but we're going to do the best we possibly can and send you some personal invitations. Tonya's also very kindly said that if anyone really wants to see the preschool before then, she will come in on a weekend and we'll send you some details about that and open up the preschool for you. And parents who are currently used to dropping off at gates and things like that understand that at the moment schools aren't allowed to have adults mixing with children. And so we'll have to do it on a weekend, but that might actually suit some of our families. So I hope we were able to give you an indication of the passion that we feel towards this project, our desire to make it work, and our commitment to offer your child the best possible education that we can. So we're going to give you a few minutes for your questions, and we might just mute ourselves for a few moments. If you've got any questions, just pop them in the Q&A and they'll come up on my screen that's right in front of me. Thanks, everyone. Our first question's come up, and our first question is, when is East End accepting children from the NGS program? Is it limited to the start of 2021? I'll answer the part about the NGS program. In term 4 of this year, I'm putting a huge number of resources into ensuring that we have this educational program up and running at the start of 2021. However, if you did want to move your child, Tonya, I think you could start now, but the NGS program itself is 2021.
Yes, that's correct. But if families are wanting to start, there is definitely the opportunity for you to start term 4.
Mm-hmm. Oh, maybe we did answer every question because we haven't had too many others come in. How much introduction to THRAS do children receive in preschool? And Mel, I'm going to pass that one to you because THRAS is a very interesting and sometimes highly debatable program.
Yeah. So THRAS is actually not a teaching program. THRAS is an overarching idea, and being the visual nature of it, in preschool I wouldn't be introducing it at all because it's too overstimulating for children that are just introducing sounds. At the beginning we don't even introduce letters, we only introduce sounds and hearing all the things around them. If your child's ready for letters, then obviously that's something that we'll definitely look at, implementing in a structured way. But there's a really big foundation that lots of people miss and lots of schools miss, to be honest with you. So that's what we go and teach in preschool, and then they'll go on to being taught explicit phonics in a systematic way. But THRAS itself is something that it's not something that we probably would look at all in preschool.
No, I think that's really good to be upfront about it because I think you've got to learn some things. I don't know. That's my understanding.
Yeah, it's too visually stimulating for them, and it can really become very confusing. It does, introducing that many sounds all at once.
Yeah.
It's not what the research says, and I'm very much at research based.
You are.
I'm like, if that's what the research says, I'm not doing it. So.
And then we've got a really good question, and actually we should have answered this one. Will places be available to younger siblings to join East End who are currently at an alternative daycare centre? This would save multiple drop-offs. I know that your baby centre is the one that would be a crisis at this. Well, it would be very difficult at the moment, would it?
It is, but we have also, because of COVID, we actually did cap our nursery area at the moment from 10 each room to 8. So we also do have some of the children who will move to the toddler room. So there will be vacancies 2021 for the nursery area.
And if they've got toddlers, so if they're a little bit older than that, I think that we could make that work. Do you think we could make that work?
No, definitely.
Yeah. And I know that you've talked to me about that. Now, this one I should have also answered, and thank you for doing this question. Are we locked into the 50 weeks a year operation, or will Preschool operate in school terms? Is the fee structure flexible? That's exactly. And someone's saying their fees will double, they think, moving to the centre. If I'm locked into 50 weeks a year.
That's actually something that we are looking into now. There hasn't been a need for that as yet, but obviously we will go down the pathway with the childcare subsidy and with the government to see what we can offer. we've just found at the moment that with our families, they've really enjoyed having the longer hours and being open school holidays. We actually run a school holiday program for 1 week of the 2 weeks holiday, and also for the 3-week break in the middle of the year. And it's a fun week where the children have input as to what we do, whether it's disco day, a sports day, and that's actually worked really well because it allows the parent to have time with the older sibling, and then the younger children still want to come to preschool. We will obviously look at the 50 weeks. We are open 50 weeks, so we will see what we can do in terms of session times. However, at the moment, that's what we're actually running at the 50 weeks.
Yeah, and that should have given everyone the biggest access to the childcare subsidy. But we do know the government has this other structure, and that is something that we're working on. And we certainly want to try to make this as smooth as possible for you. And I don't know, there'll be some people out there, and the 50 weeks is interesting as well, because some of you will say, I don't want to do 50 weeks, I want my kids at home, you know, at these times, and things along those lines. And we realise that this is a new venture for us, and we're working through that with the government in that rebate and how we manage it. Okay. I think that might almost have brought us to the end. Thank you for the webinar. We've got, just wondering, what are the student numbers in the classroom sizes?
So at the moment, so it'll actually be 15. We can go to 20. However, the 4 to 6 year old room will be 18, and then the 3 to 4 year old room will be 15.
And what's the ratios with that, Tonya, with staff?
So we have a 1 to 10 with all 3 to 5 year old children. It's 1 to 10. However, we will be above the ratio, the recommended ratio.
And that was actually one of the reasons why you were so keen on our staff, to ensure that we have that working really, really well.
Yes.
So when a specialist teacher comes in, does that mean there's going to be like 3 to 15, or so if it's
no, that won't change at all.
Oh, but if one of our specialist teachers comes in, then you'll have 3 teachers in the room essentially.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to have those really individual learning experiences happening within the classroom, in terms of literacy, numeracy, and so forth.
Great. Well, that might have brought us to an end. Thank you very, very much for joining us tonight. We have recorded this, and we will send you a link to this recording over the next few days. So thank you. We've got a lot on our agenda. We know that you too have some decisions to make, but I certainly hope you can see what we're trying to achieve in this move. Good night, everybody.